Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I am Parker McPhinney, and today is the 14th of January, year 2026. Today I'm going to speak about the new moon that's coming up in a couple of days. It occurs on January 18th. It occurs at 11:51 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That translates to 2:51 East Coast time. If you live elsewhere, you will have to do the math. And this new moon is ushering in a rebirth. But first, there is going to be a substantial desire and push to hold on to the old ways, the traditional ways, conventional power. But it's coming to an end. I immediately thought of Iran, because obviously what's going on there, they're going to come down hard. We have the moon, the sun, Mercury, and Mars, all in Capricorn. This new moon occurs at the 28 degrees of Capricorn, 43 minutes arc. We're rounding it off to 29 degrees. That tells me that something is about to end. That 29 degrees Capricorn new moon, new beginning, is also sextile Neptune and Saturn. Neptune's at 29 degrees and 48 minutes arc, just about to go into Aries, which it will do so on the 26th of January. Hold on to your hats. Saturn in Pisces will follow Neptune's lead. Saturn enters Aries on the 13th of February, and then on the 20th of February, they will co-join just 2 days after a solar eclipse at the last degree of Aquarius. So let me recap that huge table that's filled with all sorts of food that's going to be shifting around, and guests are going to be leaving suddenly. This is a changing of the guard. We're going to see some substantial events right before the changing of the guard occurs, but there is no place for hanging on to the old unless it is with the values of integrity, compassion, and opportunity. Plus, making room for innovation, because this new moon is also trine Uranus, sudden and unexpected. There is so much packed into this new moon chart. It's both exciting and scary, because all births are scary. You know, if you're a parent, you know this. You have that 9 months of preparing. Each month, the load gets bigger. You learn to carry yourself. You learn to carry your baby. The father learns to begin to play his role in parenting, preparing for that. This chart is very much like that. The end of a gestation that is about to give birth to something so powerful and so big. And in some ways, this birth is going to be unexpected. There will be an unexpectedness that reveals itself. Uranus is currently retrograde, but it will turn direct. So as this new moon unfolds over the weeks, because it's not a static moment, it's not, oh, the new moon happens and then within that 24 hours, everything is crammed into it. No, it doesn't work that way. Ideas are percolating, being suggested, then they're either being rejected, and then harder persuasion is showing itself. This particular new moon, I placed it in Washington, D.C. to look at America's situation. And we have 6 planets in the 8th house. 8th house is the transcendence house. It's also dealing with other people's money. And it also deals with rebirth, death and rebirth. Can't have a rebirth unless you have a death. And if you're all freaked out about the death part, which can come symbolically in many ways, doesn't literally mean dropping the body, but it can. It tells me that the old guard in Washington is going to be leaving. There's even a possibility that there will be leadership change from the top. Yep. And we will have a vice president that steps up. This is certainly possible. Somebody in Washington might need an operation. I don't know the exact way it's going to transpire, but there is no doubt in my mind there is new leadership coming to Washington and in other places in the globe. This is also confirmed because the North Node is at the very top of the chart. And that is another indicator of Washington needing to go a new path. The old ways don't work anymore. Saturn in the sky represents values, your bones, your teeth, traditions. Since it's at 27 degrees and about to enter Aries, and it also has a rulership over this Capricorn new moon, that's really important too, to look at it. Now, it happens to be in a lovely relationship, almost exact, with Uranus, like I said, which is retrograde. That tells me that the twisting of the mind, no, let me say that a different way. The opening in the heart can change the mind, but sometimes you have to twist somebody's arm a little bit or their head to get them to see what they don't want to see. And sometimes that can happen through Congress laying down the law. That can also happen through the masses speaking and finally being heard. The way people usually feel this, the most direct, is to hit them in the pocketbook. Uranus in Taurus is about the pocketbook. And so Congress, because the 11th house is involved in this new moon chart for Washington, and Taurus is intercepted, meaning it's behind closed doors. There's a chamber within the chamber that's discussing money. They're always discussing money in Washington. It's run by money. But if the people suddenly withhold their money, if corporations suddenly withhold their money, that's when changes happen. Unfortunately, it's not always do the right thing coming from integrity. Often it's, well, we'll just hold on to that money until they see our point of view. No matter if the point of view is compassionate, legitimate, and has some roots in what's best for the all. Looking at J.D. Vance's natal chart, I can see that his work is going to be changing. And the solar eclipse that happens in a couple of weeks will fall in his 7th house. That makes me wonder if there will be somebody else being appointed as his partner. I mean, this is a very complicated situation, and it could be that in government in the USA, there is a shift happening. It's happening behind the scenes. It could be a temporary shift for maybe medical reasons. Perhaps the president has to have an operation or something. I'm not really sure how it's going to transpire. I do see seismic activity. I mean, this is more than a little tremor. Washington is going to shift in major ways. Some of the other countries around the world, Iran's Jupiter is opposed by this Capricorn new moon, so I unfortunately do not think the political unrest going on right now is going to result in a regime change right now. In Iran, the new moon is opposed Jupiter. That's clergy. So I believe the political unrest, the level of success they have is going to depend on whether or not the clergy, those in charge on that level, want a regime change. In Japan, the new moon is going to square their Jupiter, which is in their 4th house. That indicates earthquake energy, mega earthquake energy. And in Palestine, this new moon in Capricorn will conjunct their moon. That shows that females in the country of Palestine, whether they're recognized by the world or not as a country, as they defined their sovereignty, females are going to have a strong voice. Israel, this new moon falls in their 4th house. Change happening in the homeland, and as well, wanting to get rid of the old guard, wanting new. We see this across the board. In the United States of America, this new moon falls in our 4th house. It's conjunct Pluto. That again indicates a death of a major political leader. It's opposed Mercury, the USA Mercury. I'm going to stick by my prediction that we're going to see a president or a former president cross in the next 4 weeks. And we're going to see an ushering in of huge cabinet change, just overall musical chairs happening. The old ways are going. You cannot stop this rebirth. You cannot stop spring from occurring. So you say, Parker, I don't care about politics. What about me? What about my life? How can I use this new moon energy in the best way possible? My answer to that is look briefly to your past goals that you have achieved, because Capricorn is about climbing the mountain. So take just a moment to reflect on what mountains you have climbed, what you learned in hiking to the peak. If you didn't make it to that vast overview, reflect what you learned. Then I also say, as you're doing this, contemplate in a compassionate way to yourself. Compassion to the self is so important. What you strengthened in your being. Did it strengthen your faith? Did it have you question your faith if you didn't reach your goal? Some goals that we don't reach, we find out in hindsight, they led to even better situations. We're like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't get what I wanted. This particular new moon is in a lovely trine to Uranus. So it does ask you to reach back to your own principles, your own values, and how you wish to live them in a new way? Do you need to reconfirm commitments that you've made from the past and add a new subclause? What in your own mindset do you need to change in order to get to the next level on the ladder, if that's what you're striving for? And if you're not striving for another level, I'm sure you want to be a great role model. So how can you conduct yourself in a manner that allows others to have inspiration? If you've done everything you wish to do and you just want to relax and watch the show, because it is one big show, you can still do so in a manner that uses compassionate lenses and looks at the long view. The long view gives a very different storyline than the short view. Venus has just moved into Aquarius, and it will co-join Pluto in a day or two. And that's powerful love, and that's the power of humanity. So are you helping humanity in some form or fashion by your everyday activity? That's the question I would ask. What am I contributing to humanity's growth because I'm contributing something to my own growth? Because every time you make yourself stronger and better and are the best you can be, it goes into the big pot of humanity. And you never know who you're influencing, because people will watch you. You won't know they're watching you. And they will see how you deal with struggle. And they can get strength from that. I know I do. So stand tall with this new moon. Have good posture. Be kind to your knees and learn how to bend. Don't let pride prevent you from bending. Walk your talk. And don't be afraid to go for your dreams with utmost seriousness. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.